Alright, so I've been doing some research and I have come up with a solution for how we can make the website hosting server communicate with the WebGL in-game basically, right? So we have the hosting server um, and this is essentially your website's backend, right? So this is going to check for a valid token first, and if the valid token does not exist, or if it does exist and is not valid, it's going to make the LootLocker login request with the email and the password, and the backend will also have the domain key, right? So in the response, we will get this login token, and this login token is going to be stored in the local storage. When we're checking here, by the way, for the login token, we're checking on the local storage of the user's browser, right? And in this local storage, we can store this login token and the email. This email is needed because this email is needed to authenticate as well. So we're gonna use this information in game. So after we save it in local storage, we're gonna load the game HTML, right? The index.html that Unity builds. And once we build it, we will in game we'll check for the token stored in the local storage and the email stored in the local storage, and then we will do the authentication process and pass this over to Beamable. On the back end, we call the LootLocker API to authenticate with this token and the email, and Beamable also has the API key. And the Beamable response will give us this session token. This session token is not the login token, okay? This is the private token essentially, and this can be used to make API calls. So we definitely don't want this over to the client side ever. We cannot store it anywhere like in the local storage. We will always have it on some backend server, right? And anytime the game makes any LootLocker calls, it will use this session token. Now, a few things here. Um, so in game, the way we're accessing the local storage is we're using like a JS lib script. This thing bridges the WebGL to the browser. And another thing is when we're storing this login and email, this login token and email, we can possibly encrypt this data. Um, Even though we can't essentially do anything with just this data because we can't make any API calls without the API key, um, we can still encrypt this data because it does have the user's email, and any other services that is using the browser can also access the local storage, and why give them access to information that our services are using. So we encrypt this data with some private key, and Beamable will also have that private key. When this information is passed into Beamable, we can basically decrypt the data with the private key and do the request. So this is what I'm thinking right now, but I'm pretty sure Webflow also allows like embedded JavaScript codes, so maybe we can add the local storage saving functionality there, but I'm not too sure about that. I haven't worked much with websites, so yeah, just let me know if there is anything else that I might be missing.